All right. So I want to go over this trade setup. I wasn't going to put this on YouTube, but I think I will. I'm basically just going to be. It's honestly, I've been on a weird ass journey. I've been trading a lot more with the fractal model, and it does work, but like the return wasn't great. So I tried going back to TJR's method of trading, and I was doing that for a little bit. It is profitable. Again, just not seeing the results that I want, the win rate, the R&R, and just overall return. I don't know, maybe I don't know what it is. It's kind of like I trade so many. It's like I pick up so many different strategies. I know how to trade. I can make money with trading. It's just like that next extra push to get the high R&R, to get the high win rate, and to see that consistency week after week, month after month. And it's just like it's very difficult and very hard. And it's like people are out there making money. So like, why am I having so much trouble with it? And it's funny because strategy hopping obviously is kind of it's kind of like you're restarting your whole journey, but I'm at a point now where I understand a lot of the ICT concepts very well. I spent the last 2 months ish, 2 to 3 months ish, working with the fractal model, so I understand it, and I obviously dabbled in TJR a couple months back as well, so I already had experience with TJR. And so I can pick up strategies very quickly. So I was doing a little bit of strategy hopping and just trying a lot of different things. And again, the fractal model does work, TJR does work. It's really just seeing the consistency with the R&R and the return and stuff like that. So, funnily enough, I was actually just watching a video and the guy was talking about, oh, I just look at the 4 hour and figure out the phase of price. And I was like, huh. I was like, you know what, wait a minute. So, I actually, and I did, so kind of I need to test this out still, but discluding the daily chart. Like when I was trading TJR, I realized that I wasn't even using the daily chart. I was just using like the 1 hour and daily profiles, right? So daily profiles is looking at how Asia and London behaved in relation to one another to inform your decision on New York. And again, I had maybe about a 50% ish win rate trading TJR that way, and that wasn't even using the daily chart. And then when I watched this other guy, he was like, yeah, I just use phases of price on the 4 hour. And I was like, and there's this other guy called BM, and he also uses phases of price. It looks like he mostly sticks to the 4 hour and not so much the daily. He does reference the daily, but not as much as like, phases of price overall, which is, utilizing the 4 hour and 1 hour more heavily. So so basically, I was like, you know what? Why don't I just disclude the daily chart for now? I need to test this out more and just use the 4 hour to gauge what phase of price we're in. And then use that to, and then, use the daily profiles and then look at basically where we are coming into, New York, and use that to inform how price should potentially behave. And that's exactly what I did here. So basically, looking at the 4 hour, what phase of price are we in? Okay, so going back up here, we had a reversal. We had a reversal. Then we kind of consolidated a little bit. We consolidated. Then we had a manipulation. You can't see it on YM, but if you look on NASDAQ, you can see we manipulated the low. Then we went higher, so we expanded. So consolidation into manipulation into expansion. And then we had expansion meets expansion, which is a reversal signature. And then I think we consolidated here, but then we manipulated consolidation, manipulation, expansion. And then we've kind of just been expanding downward ever since. Now, coming into New York, we are in a premium level here of this price leg. So I marked out, the premium and discount of this leg. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay, so that's basically where we are. So ideally, just looking at the 4 hour, basically, knowing that we're in a premium, knowing that we're in an expansionary phase, what can I realistically expect? One, we could retrace higher into the range, but ideally, I was actually looking for a reversal to go back lower because, expansion meets retracement meets expansion. After a retracement, after an expansion, we can see two phases of price, a retracement or a consolidation, or expansion. So expansion means expansion meets retracement, or expansion meets consolidation, right? But obviously expansion meets retracement. After retracement, we have to go into a expansion. Or we could go into consolidation, but this is clearly not a consolidation. We go into expansion, right? So basically, after marking this stuff, I go to the 1 hour now, and I realize, oh crap, we have a bunch of liquidity here. So ideally, I would like to see us, wick up, take out some liquidity, and then reverse to go lower to ideally go to Asian session lows. And I honestly probably could have held this until Asian session lows, but I don't want to overstay my welcome. I'm totally fine with 3R. 3R is definitely on the bigger end for me. So, we had the sweep, we had the SMT. With the SMT here, so that's another confluence as well. Where is it? So we had the SMT here, and then yeah. So and then I funnily enough, I started I probably didn't need to do this, but what I basically did was I went down to the 30-minute to see if I could get a 30-minute reversal candle. So obviously I didn't really want to wait until the closure of this 30-minute, because then it would be 10 o'clock. So what I did, even though this is essentially the fractal model, right? So what I essentially did was I went down to the 5-minute. I kind of utilized TJR a little bit. So TJR's rule says we wait for a liquidity sweep, or SMT. So we have the SMT, and then after we get the SMT, we either want to retrace back to equilibrium or a fair value gap. So as you can see here on YM, we retrace back to equilibrium of this price leg. The price leg starting here to here, as you can see. Or yeah, so here to here, so we came back to equilibrium, and then on NASDAQ it's either equilibrium or fair value gap. We did come back to this fair value gap. We kind of overshot it, but we basically held there at that level. And then you can see on ES we also respected equilibrium of this range. So that's one way. So you could have entered, then you could have went to the 1-minute and found an entry here. But I realized, but using the fractal model, you can use the 1-minute or the 3-minute. So if I'm using the fractal model, right, and we're trying to match up this 30-minute candle with the next 10 o'clock candle, you can also use a 3-minute CISD, which would be the closer below this candle here. So that's where I entered. Stop. If this is going to expand, we shouldn't see back this high. So, that's kind of just how everything came together. I blended a little bit of TJR with the fractal model. But I think you could have definitely used the fractal model just by itself here, and then taken this off. But I think the equilibrium adds an extra level of confluence to support this move lower. So it's kind of interesting, because I know TJR and the fractal model pretty well. I can do both. But I think the biggest determining factor of why this trade ended up working out and why I was able to target the 3R is phases of price on the 4-hour chart. So I definitely want to work on that a little bit more, and see how I can maybe continue to get good results using phases of price on the 4-hour, and then trickling it down to the other time frames and informing my my decisions and basically that. But I think the biggest thing is phases of price. And you're probably like, well, didn't you already know phases of price? Yes, but I got a little bit confused on the 4-hour a lot of times. But I think now that it's probably a bigger defining factor than I think, I'm reading the 4-hour as I am the lower time frame, basically. So it's a little bit easier now. But I'm going to basically try to integrate that a little bit more, and, have a little bit less brain fog when it comes to using phases of price. And I'm really hoping that I'll start to see good results, because every strategy, whether that's the fractal model or the TJR, does work. It does work. My biggest thing is really just continual consistency, and having a consistent 1 to 2 or 1 to 3R return on investment, and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna just keep working with it, keep testing it out, which is really cool. But yeah, this is the first video since I went on that break. I've just been back testing like crazy day after day, and that's kind of just where I am right now. I'm going to see whether this yields very good results or not. So the next video that I upload, hopefully it will be good news. With that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Good luck on your journey, guys. Keep working hard. It is possible. I know it's possible, and I'm not going to give up. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. See you in the next one.